Hello everyone and welcome back to Jenna's Spiel, my little slice of the internet where we talk comics. In today's episode, as you can tell by the title of this video and the sweet shirt I'm wearing, we'll be joining Ash Williams and the Army of Darkness. So you may be wondering, why Army of Darkness? A movie and comic that came out well over 2 decades ago. Well, about a decade ago I bought this shirt to woo a boy, and since that didn't work out, I need another reason to wear this shirt that isn't necessarily tainted with the failed romances of my past. In reality, the actual reason I decided to pick the Army of Darkness comics was in response to Starz deciding to cancel the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV series. So in my desperate attempt to resuscitate my love for the show and everything Ashley J. Williams, I thought I'd relive his world through comic book form. Since there are so many variations of the Evil Dead universe in comic form, at first I thought maybe I would just pick the comics that piqued my interest, but then upon further reflection I thought to do this series right, we'd have to go back to the beginning, which is technically the 3rd installment of the series if you're looking at where Army of Darkness really lays out in terms of the timeline, but then when you really look at the first movie and the second movie, they're kind of the same, so technically Army of Darkness is more of a sequel, and basically all this rambling is the reason why we need to start here, because A, the canon is so messed up, and secondly, I thought maybe, there might be some people out there who don't know who Ash Williams is. Those of you that do know him know this canon is pretty messed up, so let's just start from the beginning, which is the 3rd movie, comic book form. Anyways, you get where I'm going with this. Without further ado, let's start this comic book series off with the movie adaptation. I should also preface this by saying that in reviewing a comic book about a movie, it's inevitable that you talk about the movie, so I'll try not to make it too much of a movie review and we'll stick to the comic book, but hopefully you can see that I strike a balance between the two. The Army of Darkness movie was released in 1992, and in the same year Dark Horse released a tie-in to the movie. But from what I gather, in 2004 Dynamite picked up the Army of Darkness series and bought them out, so the copy I'm holding right now is actually the 2006 version. So I know the timelines are kind of convoluted, but that just sort of goes along with the rest of the Evil Dead series. It's not exclusive to the movies, it's also in the comic books. If you've somehow managed to avoid Evil Dead all your life, don't worry, we're not here to judge, I will inform you. Meet Ash Williams. He's the chosen one, aka the Slayer of the Deadites. How does he come to be that guy? Well, him and his girlfriend, and a bunch of friends, depending on your canon, end up in a secluded cabin in the middle of the woods. And, of course, this cabin also contains the Necronomicon. What's the Necronomicon, you may be asking? It's the Book of the Dead, obviously. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means when you read from it, you summon the dead, which is not great, and leads to a whole night of torture where all of Ash's friends die, and he loses his hand, but it gets replaced with this awesome chainsaw, and just when he thinks he's defeated the evil, created a portal and sucks it back in, he gets sucked into. So that's where Army of Darkness picks up. The portal unceremoniously dumps Ash into the medieval times, and just when you think he'd be crap out of luck in this time period, this wise man's like, hey guys, don't worry about it, we had this prophecy about a guy who falls from the sky and he'll save us from evil. So that's, it's cool, right? But no, King Arthur comes along, he's like, this guy is no god from the sky or whatever, he bleeds like a mortal. So he basically sentences him to death via the pit, including the she-bitch monster. What the old-timey folks don't take into consideration is the power of a chainsaw hand. So Ash slices and dices his way to freedom, manages to win the crowd, more or less. The village people are like, ooh, ah, boomstick.
This is my boomstick! It's a 12-gauge double-barreled Remington. S-Mart's top of the line. That's right, this sweet baby was made in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Retails for about $109.95. It's got a walnut stock, cobalt blue steel.
And basically just wants to cut short this vacation in 1300 AD. But of course, sending himself back couldn't be that easy, so he's off to quest for the Necronomicon. So what does Ash find along the way? Well, he encounters a whole bunch of mini-me's that were spawned from his reflection in a mirror. He also gets an evil twin, which is unfortunate, but he has the gun, so that's fine, that works out.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
And lastly, he has to pick between 3 Necronomicons.
3 books? Wait a minute. Hold it. Nobody said anything about 3 books. Like what am I supposed to do? Take 1 book or all books or what?
Now wait for it. Here comes my favorite part of the movie/comic book. Ash picks up the Necronomicon, has to recite 3 words. He's just gonna remember 3 words. Not an issue, right? Well...
Klaatu, Barada, necktie.
Noodle. It's an N-word. It's definitely an N-word.
Klaatu, Barada, Okay then. That's it.
Yep, Ash unwittingly releases the full force of the Evil Dead onto the world. Again. But, at least he got the book back. Ash returns to the village, only to be called out by, the entire countryside for having doom brought upon them, but in case you haven't gathered by now, Ash is kind of an idiot, and he doesn't really care. He just wants to go back home. Fortuitously, his medieval one-night stand gets kidnapped, and for that reason, that spurs him into battle. Ash goes 21st century on the oncoming foes, creating some gunpowder, transforming his 1973 Oldsmobile into a tank, and basically there's lots of fire, lots of explosion, lots of swordplay, lots of action. You might want to check this out on film, and as always, good triumphs over evil. Now that the threat has been vanquished, the wise man happily whips up a potion for Ash to send him back to his time. All he has to do is take 6 drops. Now do you think a guy who can't remember to say 3 words is gonna remember 6 drops? No, apparently he can't count, and the comic book ends with Ash waking up in a post-apocalyptic London.
Oh God! No! I slept too long!
Well, now that you're all caught up on the plot, let's discuss the comic itself in a little bit more detail. The comic remains pretty faithful to the original source material, I think the biggest exception being the ending, which, in case you didn't know, Sam Raimi originally intended Ash to sleep too long. I think there's also a take where he just dies. But for some reason, test audience didn't really jive too well with the hero vanquishing evil and not living happily ever after. Though it got reshot, and is this much happily ever after? The world is still full of deadites. And in case you're wondering, yes, I am bitter because not only is the comic book ending on a climax of what's going to happen to Ash in the future, the TV series did the same thing to me. Why can't I just see Ash rise up an army of deadite killing robots to just, I don't know, do stuff? Anyways, I'm not here to rant about the cliffhangers, and who knows, maybe I'll even get to see Ash in the future in some of the next comic books I read. The comic is a great fan service to those who love the movie. I'm particularly keen that they kept in some of Ash's most memorable quotes.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but 2 things right now. Jack and shit. And Jack left town.
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow.
Groovy. Give me some sugar, baby.
You found me beautiful once.
Honey, you got real ugly.
I also briefly want to mention the art style. At first, I was taken aback by the fact that everything was the hand-painted styles. I mean, for the most part, you see that kind of reserved exclusively for cover art. And also, out of personal preference, it's just not really my favorite. However, the more I read, the more I kind of got into it and thought that perhaps that's the best translation from film to page. Perhaps it's just the graininess or the mood that the paintings convey, but here are a couple of the images that I found most striking. As an added bonus for fans, we actually get inside Ash's head and hear him narrate his goings-on. I know that divisive narration is not usually well received in movies and probably wouldn't have worked very well in Army of Darkness either. However, in comic book form, it's the perfect execution. Overall, I think this comic did a pretty good job of translating Army of Darkness into a comic book. I think I'm more excited to see where the next adventures lie, not just because I want to see Ash in the future, but I've got a really big omnibus to read here, so hopefully I'll see you guys next time when we check out Ashes to Ashes. And what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy the comic book adaptation, or are you just more a film buff? Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Ash's one-night medieval stand. One-night medieval stand? Medieval one-night stand? Yeah. Anyways, she gets kidnapped.